Go. All right. Blue Lock
Blue
time.
Lock.
We're starting from episode, what was it, 35?
Mm-hmm. It's
Damn.
gonna be like 5 episodes, I believe, since
Yeah.
there were two
Yeah. Oh,
two
it's
in the.
34. 34 actually. Like, oh my god. Okay, so we're starting off obviously the second half's just started and Shido's about to come in.
Mm-hmm. The
And
devil,
yeah, the devil incarnate
the
for
devil
Blue
and
Lock.
the Joker card, or their Joker, I should say.
Yeah, the Joker card for the U20 teams coming in basically. Um and basically everybody's like, damn, we really gotta adapt, put our A game now that Shido's in. We don't know what he's capable of. And obviously the one that has to like first step up to meet Shido is our good boy Nico. um he's he's the one that initiates a play to stop Shido and just barely manages to stop him, but gets injured in the process.
Well,
And he tries.
I just really like to point out how like the the striker, like the most popular one, he really just passes to the person that seems to want it the most and seems to be fighting, you know, the hard or like a hard battle to win, and I like that about this dude because he didn't, it wasn't because he didn't want to pass to the other teammates. It's because they didn't keep up with his game and couldn't put themselves in positions that you know, that it could work for him.
Yeah, and obviously
So
Shido.
and obviously Shido was able to do that, and everyone caught up about that. As soon as you know the first play came to be. So
Yeah.
I really liked that because it obviously took everyone off guard that they were able to make it work.
Yeah, and I think
You know,
that's what.
but it just tells you that he will make it work with anyone, really. If you can work with
Yeah,
Cheeto. So.
he did tell them like in the previous episodes, like I'm testing you guys, you're not testing me, right? So like
Mhm.
Shido obviously, like, as soon as he saw how Shido was playing through the blue lock, whatever, he was like, yeah, he's the one that I kind of need on my side, and that's
Mhm.
why he brought him there. Obviously, the deal with the captain was that Shido wasn't gonna play at all, and they were gonna
Yeah,
win.
join them. Yeah.
Yeah, they were gonna win without him, but they were not expecting Blue Lock to be this good. And also,
Mhm.
you know, good shout out to Nico who did manage to see the plays. It's just by uh, by a hair that he he got injured. Like really, if he was like maybe like an inch or more there sooner, or like a steps
Mhm.
quicker, he would have not had to suffer the injury.
Mhm.
But good on him to be able to see what Sai was playing or doing
Mhm.
with Shido and
Right.
stop the play.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Shido wasn't the only sub, here. I mean, obviously, he was like the much much eye catching, but I really like how the chameleon comes in, and
I mean, before he comes in, it's after the goal that Shido scores, right? Because that foul that Nico was able to do earned them like a
right.
free kick, and in that one, that's when how you said like Sai met Shido's demand or Shido met Sai's demand. Both of them like kind of had that
Uh-huh.
chemical reaction that the Blue Lock players had.
Mhm.
So
Right.
Shido made a Sai do the pass that was most necessary, which I mean, Shigiri tried to stop it, right? But Sai
Mhm.
just made it so that it was by like a hair that
Gear had a good
Shigiri,
play
Shigiri,
there.
yeah,
too bad. It didn't really work out on his favor, but
No, it was just shy by like a hair. Like,
I know.
and then after that, that's when like Nico and Shiguri can no longer go, and that's when the chameleon comes in, Reo,
Mm-hmm.
and also we have the Shigiri moment, that's really powerful, where he was like, "Damn it, like if this is what happens when I walk away from the sport, right?"
Stop. Yeah. When I just stop dedicating myself to the sport, how behind he feels that he was left. Yeah, I mean it's all true. When you're pro like this, when you try to go pro like this, any year, any month can make a big difference in your career.
Yeah,
If
and
the same people in your age group or area that are trying to reach the same goal,
yeah, and this football is really one of those where like you have to keep at it, and because obviously we
Mm,
Shigiri said that he wanted to leave the sport, and he did walk away from it until like
mm-hmm,
Isagi brought him back in the first season. This was like a huge wake up call that he has a
mm-hmm.
long ways to go.
Yeah. Well, that was episode 34.
Well, no, we got the chameleon save. Remember?
Yeah, we mentioned that about him
Yeah, I mean,
coming in, but we can start 35 with that because it's just like how it ends, no?
yeah, I mean it is pretty good how it ends, but we do have to realize that we have hold on a second. Okay. Well, yeah, I do like how the real was able to like copy IQ, right? That's how it
Hmm.
that's how, and we know that's his whole deal, right? He was there to replace any of the defenders, and specifically to stop Shido. That's what the main objective for Reo was, and that's why he came in. He was the only one that could see Shido and be able to replicate Aiku to stop him. So that's how episode 34 ends. We get into episode 35. Basically, we move on from the that play, and Isagi notices that like these subs that are coming in are probably what he needs, which is Reo, and Hiyori was the other sub that came in, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And he says he's gonna use those to stop, well, not stop, but to get past IQ's defense. And it worked. It was seemingly working because Hiyori's defense, or Hiyori's attack, was like really good, right? Hiyori was able to connect the players a lot quicker, able to give like a lot of passes in tight spaces, and Leo obviously was just Reo was on the defensive side of it, uh, and Shido and Sai combo obviously stroke again at some point, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
go ahead.
so yeah, I mean even though he saved one, he couldn't save the other.
Yeah, it was.
So I mean he's in his flow state, this Cheeto guy, and it seems like that definitely gave him momentum um to score the goals that I believe that's what puts them ahead too.
No, that puts him.
Or
Yeah, that puts him
in
ahead. This second
yeah,
goal.
it puts them ahead. Yeah,
I,
exactly. So it puts things really intense, and it needs to be this pressure on Blue Lock, and I really like that it's only them two that puts this pressure on Blue Lock. The other players, I feel like they just didn't get to play with Sai enough to really get into a rhythm. I just feel like they were really always trying to catch up in a way, and hard to cut up. Like, but they were good defenders, you know. They were just pieces in place more than pieces in play. So,
Yeah, I mean
um,
it also shows kind of like the U20 is kind of like showing the essential like what Blue Lock is trying to fight off, right? Which is the everybody has to play for the team. No player can ego can get in the way. And when you
mhm,
do that and you limit players, it starts like showing, and that's what's happening with the U20. Like all these players got
mhm,
comfortable in the position that they were at. I mean, the superstar forward that they had, right?
mhm.
He he was like, yeah, I'm comfortable having like a model wife, a model like girlfriend and whatnot, and playing
Mhm.
first division in Japan instead of like searching for like a higher, right? Or aiming for a higher position. Uh, so it really showed that when Shido came in, the difference in like hunger to strive for better, and that's what Sai was kind of looking for too, which is something that would like inspire change. And he, well, prior to this match, he felt like Shido was going to be that catalyst to change Japan soccer or like football.
Mhm.
And obviously, like we don't the I do gotta say, like, aside from like all the jokes that are like, you know frame lock, PNG lock, whatever, right? The goals for Shido were like done really well. Like you could see like the
Yeah.
animations where they were actually some time put in. But
Mhm.
you know the blue, our boys are losing, and they have there's like there's seemingly they're not ready to give up, right? And that's when Isagi
Mhm.
goes to Ego,
Ego. Yeah.
and it's like, okay, what you got planned out for us, right? How are we gonna get out of this? How are we gonna win? And Ego was like, we've already won. Like, even if Blue Lock should die here, like, you guys already made a mark with how well you played. Like, your futures and your careers are all set from here on out. And Isagi's like, well, don't give me that crap. I You gave us this ego, this drive to win, and now you don't want to keep it going after you lit a fire in us. Like, you can't do this to us. Like, you're gonna make us win. Don't don't put our efforts down, right? We don't care what happens
Mhm.
in a year or later on. We just want we just care about what's happening right now. And Ego, you could say, was inspired or like felt something from Misagi coming in, because he was like, I was not expecting that out of you. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna give you guys what you want, but just so you know, I have no idea how this is gonna play out. So that's when the borrow our own Joker for the Blue Lock comes in.
That's right. Yes, he's really, really our hero for sure.
Yeah,
So
and it's really interesting because as they're coming in, we get their like little flashbacks of what Ego told them, right? And Ego basically just told them, okay, all you gotta do is devour Isagi. That's your goal. Don't care about what's happening with the other team. Just you're solely focused on stealing the shine from Isagi, which worked out in their favor because that completely miscalculated, or like made the U20 team just realize these guys don't really play by the books at all. Like, this guy's attacking his own teammates, stealing the ball from them, just creating chaos, right? And it was such a unpredictable factor for them. And the only one that really like could somewhat keep up now was IQ, right? The U20 defender who was like he also entered the flow state just like Shido. So we have two U20 players that have entered the flow state. Meanwhile, our boys have yet to done anything.
yes, yes, they're still catching up or trying to catch up, or even the score, even not
Yeah,
be left behind, but anything but be left behind, right?
yeah,
Or
and
be yeah. Hmm.
and that's how the
So
30.
I do like Varum in this, how he just, I really do like that Isagi goes to Ego for help, and Ego acts like he doesn't have a card on his sleeve, and then he pulls him.
Yeah, I think that the main thing was because he doesn't know
Mhm.
how it'll actually play out. He didn't want to risk it because there was like no need because his I mean, we can speculate based on what happened in the end of the last episode whether it would have actually been the end of Blue Lock, but
Mhm.
seemingly like just how well the Blue Lock players have done has really been shown to the world. So like in a way, his ideals would have already won and have been carried out probably by somebody else that's not him. Just it was just not
Mhm.
gonna be for Japan though. But yeah, that's 35. Now we can talk about 36, which starts off with like we get the IQ backstory finally in episode 36, and we find out
Mhm.
he was originally a striker. He loved the scoring goals, but his coach when he was growing up told him, you're best at providing assists for the other forwards or the other forward,
Yeah.
and he was basically he felt like he was in a state where he was prevented from
Darkness. Yeah.
well
Mhm.
he was prevented from blooming, which made him hate soccer like football, hate the hate what they were playing. um it made him so unhappy, and for him it didn't even feel worth playing. He even tried asking the coach if he could actually see him playing professional football, and he said like yes, but it wouldn't be like as the main striker role. And that's when he realized, well, that's not really I'm not really gonna have fun, so it's not really gonna be worth it. And he decided, you know what, if I was cut off from blooming, I'm gonna do the same to all these strikers that they're producing. So he becomes a
Mhm.
defender to show Japan that these strikers are not good enough to compete. Obviously, with him being a striker, he knows like all the best positions to get into to score goals. So it plays well with how he is now, where he's also seemingly kind of like Isagi, where he sees the whole field, but instead of like doing it in the forward position, he's doing it in the defensive position. And yeah, it's a really nice backstory because it really shines a character that was just really introduced this arc, but it makes him like probably one of my favorites because he's kind of like what would happen to Isagi if he kept going down that same route of being that striker that provides the passes instead of actually scoring. Like how he did in the first episode where he chose to pass and they ended up losing. And this is kind of it's a good uh
Well, he's the Isagi in there, right? He puts the pieces together and sets up the board. But unlike Isagi tries to set it up for him to score. So, but he doesn't care if he lets it go to let someone else score. Which is what Rin did too, or starts to do, or has been doing, right? Um,
yeah, I mean they've
so I don't know. It's really really dope to see that you can switch to both aspects. The egoistic one that no, I need to be the one to score and pass. Like I need to, yeah. It but then it's also like calculated enough to admit when it's better to like go for that goal.
I,
It's, I don't know, like it seems like at the end of the day their ego is to score, even though it wasn't them, even if they tried, I attempted or tried
well
it to be them
well
you know
at the end of the day it is a team sport, right? So they're
mhm.
essentially they don't have to be the ones to score it, but
Right.
they choose to be the one to try to get the goal.
Right,
but
right.
but at some
But they,
point at some
yeah.
at some point, like how in the previous season there was chemical reactions. At some point, they're gonna have to create a chemical. They create chemical reactions to for one of them to score, right? That's how it works. But they do all have an ego to be the one to do it, which is what's interesting about it. It's not just a team sport. They're making it like a selfish sport, but in the same way, it's helping the whole team. And yeah, I mean, Rin did try to like score, but I think like IQ blocked it at one point in this episode, and then they went on the offensive with Sai and Shido,
Hmm.
and it was gonna be like the hat trick for Shido at this point. It seemingly it seemed that way because there was only like two spots that it was like a 50-50 for Gagamaru to like save this shot, and he chose to go low, which was at the end incorrect, but because he's so reflexive and so big, he was able to do the like a hand, uh, be able to like fix his diving to do like a scorpion save, and then Rail copies Nagi's move, right? Because he's like, oh, I've seen this like a million times. I can copy it to a T, and I was like, oh shit, like he just copied that, and then he sends it over to the boys who go on their counter attack, and
Hmm.
of course Barrow is trying to like steal the ball, but at some point they caught on to what he was trying to do. So he has to do a different route, which was just okay. I'm gonna lie in wait till I have an opportunity to steal the ball and go. And Isagi seemingly had set up the entire play, which I think is what you were trying to get, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and Sai saw it all, which he was like, "I like your eyes." Like Sai obviously can see. It would take to consideration everything that's going on. Sai is probably
Hmm.
seeing even a step further than what Isagi was seeing. That's how he
Hmm.
was able to like stay still with them and throw himself off balance. And I do love that this version of Isagi now doesn't give up right away. He fought to like the very end, to the point where he actually had to pass it to Ren, and that's when the our Joker card came into play and stole the goal. Barrow like steals the ball from what was supposed to be a rim pass and scores it, and his logic was pretty nice, which was just, well, Rin and you are basically the same person, so like if I try to devour you or Rin, it'll lead to the same result regardless.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
then he gets a yellow for taking off his shirt.
But he scored,
But
so,
I mean, he scored. It was a well celebrated goal. That's what tied him
and
up.
at least when it comes to yellow cards, when you're in the league, then yeah, it matters lots because they what's it called? They roll over, right? And after you have like three, I think you're out. Like you can't play anymore.
After two yellows, you get a red. If you get a red card, you're technically out. So
That's what I'm saying. After the third one,
yeah,
so after third offense, so whether it's yellow, yes. So point being is that it does matter not because this is the only game they're gonna play. That it counts all his cards, unless he gets other two right away.
yeah,
It really it really fucks them, but the game will be over before that even happens. So, but it was funny though. It's definitely
yeah. It was really funny. I enjoyed
yeah.
the good chuckle,
It was
and
funny to see someone get a card and then being for that reason. So.
yeah, and after that, it was just like the Rin was like, okay, everybody's like all fired up, I believe, right? After that, and it's like, okay,
Mhm.
we gotta
Yeah, of
go.
course. The newcomer comes and just kind of steals the spotlight, and
Yeah, And
and make the goal. So.
yeah, and also even IQ was kind of fired up. He was like, okay, well, I'm here, and I think he's been waiting for like a time to for like this to happen, right? Where it was he wants somebody to be able to surpass him, and he believes that Blue Lock
Mhm.
will produce a forward capable of surpassing him.
Mhm. Mhm.
And and we we got the last two episodes. We're starting off with 37 now,
Mhm.
and ba- basically, Rin is the first one to try to take control of the match. Right? He's like, okay. He realizes that Isagi has been becoming like the pillar of this match,
Mhm.
and he
Yes.
that really gets under his skin. And he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep. He wants to keep devouring like Isagi, but like at some point, I believe he realizes that that's not gonna be enough to beat Sai. So instead of trying to keep to devour Isagi, he switches over to okay, what's the best way to stop Sai? Or like, so he starts thinking, what would Sai do now? And
Mhm. Which it was a good way to strategize, to tell you. I think you definitely made the right move to focus on him.
yes, I agree. I agree. It was a good move. It led to a lot of shining moments where he played a lot of defensive role, but it I think it worked out because he was able to stop Sai's pass to well, first of all, Sai went and changed it up a gear, right? At the start, he was like, okay, last 15 minutes, let me just shift another gear. And he destroyed the blue lock defense, which is what caused Ren to want to undergo this change, which is good. And
Mhm.
so he stops Sai's perfect cross to Shido, and then I believe they sent it over to this is a Bachura turn, right, where Bachura gets his little monster moment, right? Or is that like the that this is this episode, right, where Bachura goes crazy, goes dribbles through people,
Yes, yes. Yeah, this is it. Mhm.
and just it was such a good way to kind of like a real callback to
Yeah.
the first season when he first awakened, right? Where Bachura was like,
Mhm.
okay, well, it's my turn, like you guys have had your time to shine, now it's my turn. He was laying and waiting, and he goes through the defense by himself, and at the last hour he chips it over the goalie, and this is where the most unexpected turn probably happens with the forward that was the star forward that the U20 had
Mhm. Yeah.
finally gets
Well, he
like
starts to move. Yeah, he starts to like make a move.
yes, and he
Mm.
starts catching on to the ambition necessary, right? It was like a he had his own transformation where it was like, okay, I finally get it, I'm gonna aim for higher instead of a model from Japan. I'm going Hollywood. No, I want a Hollywood model.
Mhm.
Crazy, like or like low expectation of it. Not a big jump, but it did show like a bit of character and a bit of like the influence Blue Lock has had on people, right? It showed that Blue Lock has actually affected the U20 team and how they all think, not just IQ, but like even the forward and the midfielders, they all were like pushing for it. And in that last play, I think before the final the final episode, IQ was about to score, right? Because Sai and then went forward, and IQ was like at the very brink of scoring the winning goal until Ren saved it. And then it came to a corner kick with where Rin blocked IQ once again but it wasn't really going to Aiku. It was going to Shido this time, and he really thought it was gonna be like
Yeah.
all over for him. He's like, okay, well, my soccer career's over. This is as far as I go. And then that's when the boy Isagi comes in clutch, and it's like, all right, Shido is the most dangerous one here, right? And blocks Shido's like final goal.
Oh my God, good. I'm so glad he really saves them there because stopping them from making goal is just as good as making a goal.
Yeah,
So.
and then this is kind of like where hold on a second.
Mhm.
Okay, I did not even pause it, did I? Or like put
Oh
my mic
God, no.
down. You heard everything. Okay. Um. Well. Okay. So this last save by Isagi is like, damn. Rin realizes, well, I wanted to fight this fight alone, but these guys won't let me be alone.
Mhm.
And
That's right.
that's when he kind of like breaks. Like the episode ends with him like having like this like character breaking moment, and then it moves on to the final episode, the probably one of the best episodes of the year.
Yes. This final episode was so good
Yes, from
because they definitely finally had the moment of Sagi shine,
yes,
which is the moment everyone was waiting for during this whole fucking game, which was for him to score.
yep.
So we finally got that, and and
Well,
we really we really like how it starts off with like Rin just being in his trance, right? Because he just completely like being consumed with the obsession with his brother. Really, like I think at one point he gets finally understand what the brother was telling him to stop like blaming him for playing soccer to
yes.
take responsibility for it. But regardless of it, he was in too deep already in that idea. So it kind of just broke him, and
Well, yeah,
and
that come.
I definitely think that the way that he went into trance was not healthy, and it was impressive, but it wasn't I don't know, like
I mean,
amazing.
I
So.
mean, this is kind of like how Bachara had his moment in the first season, where he was like awakened and he just wanted to
Mm,
dribble. But Rin's whole awakening is just trying to awakening slash finding his flow is being a monster,
mm-hmm.
where he wants to take what everybody does at their strongest and then breaks it.
Uh-huh.
And that's what he was doing to
Yeah.
like the entire U20. The fast guy
Yeah.
gone. I think the guy that was like really strong for like the core got the worst of it because he Rin like literally flipped them. You know, um,
Yeah.
obviously the only one that he couldn't really do much to was I, but IQ was also one of the one that mentally that got to be like the worst or one of the worst because he was like, okay, I calculated everything you've done. I calculated the fact that you take everybody's strengths and uses them against them. And even after calculating everything, he still couldn't find any weak spots on Ren.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it wasn't until like Shido tried to join in the fray that he was like, okay, we got like a 50-50 chance of just stopping Ren. And Rin still like kind of outdoes everybody, where even Isagi tries to help Rin, and Rin chooses not to go with Isagi, which, to be fair, kind of calculated. based on how Blue Lock is, right? Like you're obviously gonna want the shine to be on you,
Yeah.
but it that like slight delay I think was what allowed IQ to really put that foot out over where Rin like was made to lose the ball,
Mhm.
and then it was like the last minute that it came down to like Sai and the counterattack of U20, and that's when we had that whole thing that you mentioned about like Rin finally realizing what his brother was saying, which was beautifully animated.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, it was.
And then we get the final face off of the brothers, also like so well animated that I wish the entire season kind of looked like that.
Mhm.
But it came down to that fight, and Rin ended up getting the better of his brother at the end, being able to block the pass that he was gonna send to Shido, and
Yes.
lo and behold, the ball just goes flying in or over IQ,
Back to Isagi. Yeah.
and Isagi just happened to be there because he learned his lesson from season one where you have to create your own luck, and that was like the last missing piece
Mhm.
he needed to beat IQ. Like IQ, the wall that he put in front of himself to
Mhm.
overcome, and he shoots it and he scores. And I love how they did the where it was like silent and you just heard the shh of the kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it goes in, and everybody's like stunned because Blue Lock scores at the last second, and lo and behold, the winner uh, and the hero of the match is Isagi,
Mhm.
the good old boy.
How it should be.
Yeah, and I love the celebrations. Right, Ego gets his little
Mhm.
fist grip. The moms are celebrating with hugging one another. The crowd is chanting. The Blue Lock people are cuddling one another, like
Yeah.
And then IQ comes in and it's like, well done, like you won this time and stuff. And I love the little Sai and Rin moment that they had, right? Because Sai was like, you know, initially I didn't believe that Japan could produce a forward that could change its football.
The fucking betrayal. What do you mean? You
Yeah, and
said.
then Rin was kind of like looking at him like, oh, he's gonna say it's me. He's gonna say it's me. And then he's like, but Isagi might be that person.
Girl, my boy can never place his boy.
Yeah, and that just that sends Ren in another spiral. But we we
Oh
we first
God.
have to get to
Yeah, I
the
mean, pretty much how his trance manifested in it into
yeah.
it.
I mean, I do love the representation of like how he sees his style of play, right? And Sai's style of play,
Mhm.
like Sai's style of play is more beautiful, but his is destructive.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
polar opposites of one another. Uh, but Isagi has to do the post game interview, right? Because they're like, oh, they're looking for the hero.
Oh my God, right?
And he's just so dumbfounded because they're asking him a question. They're like trying to interview him, and then they're like, okay, what's your plan next? And he starts thinking back through the times, and he's like, okay, Blue Log will win the U20 World Cup, and he's like, no, I will lead Japan into World Cup victory at U20.
Mhm.
Finally getting that ego on himself, finally putting um how do you say, like, the he's putting his foot down as being the face of Japan now, right? He just basically declared that he's gonna be the face of Japan for the U20 World Cup,
Mhm.
and then we get the locker room stuff with ego is like, okay, you guys, well done. Don't let it be your peak of your careers. This is just gonna be the start of it. And then
Yeah.
So yeah, because like
Exactly.
after this, you would think that they would like drop. They would like not drop, but like they would think, okay, this is as far as we're gonna reach. But he's letting them know, don't let it be the farthest you reach.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make sure that one of you guys becomes the best the best striker in the world. And it's like there's no, this is we've finally reached the point of no turning back, which is they basically stated this is the end of phase one. After this.
Yeah, that's right. And we get a little preview about their phase two, and it's Germany.
Yep, we see we get to see some previews of what's gonna happen next, or like the characters coming next season. One of them is the good
Mhm.
old boy Kunigami is gonna come back. He looks a lot different.
Yes.
And then the other one,
Still good, though.
what was that?
Still looking good. Still looking good, though.
I mean, yeah, he looks a little different though. He doesn't have that same smile that he first had when we saw him first season. So now we're kind of left to wonder what happened at the wild card.
Hmm.
And then we got the other new one that we're gonna get introduced to. I think they mentioned him in the anime, but if not, just know he's Kaiser. Uh,
Yeah, the German guy.
yep,
Yep. And that wraps up the season for Blue Lock.
it really does.
Very.
I mean, there's still the ego where he was talking to everybody, right? He was talking to a bunch of representatives from different countries, and they all agreed to start what was going to be the next season, the Neo Egoist League.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something exciting to look forward to. Um, but yeah, Blue Lock ends, and season three is in production or is in the works, from what I hear. So good thing to look forward to. Whenever they decide to drop it, hopefully they give the animators enough time to actually make it look like episode 38, because Blue Lock in Motion is just like a different breed. Um, but yeah, this portion is gonna go on YouTube. So like, guys, if you see this video going up, we streamed it on Twitch. Come join us. The link to Twitch will be in the description. You catch everything a week early or a few days early. And if you like what you see, like, uh, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. Everything's below in our description for our socials. Until next time. Okay.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Okay.